Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today, we bring you a story full of surprises and hidden angles that few people know about. Don't leave just yet. Just when you think you've figured it all out, there are fascinating and meaningful details waiting for you at the end of the video. Let's explore together and uncover the special message this video has for you. Are you ready? Let's get started. October 1799. After 500 days away, Napoleon Bonaparte journeys northward, greeted at every stop by jubilant crowds, embraced by dignitaries, and celebrated as a conquering hero. Yet, these festivities cannot obscure the reality that France is a nation in turmoil and despair. Banditry is so rampant that even Napoleon's own luggage is stolen during the journey. Prices are soaring, taxes are oppressive, and trade has been crippled by years of war and blockade. The country suffers under conscription, censorship, and corruption, while abroad, France faces yet another coalition of formidable enemies. Despite Napoleon's brilliant victories granting a brief respite, France's security remains precarious. Yet to many, Bonaparte represents hope, a savior capable of restoring the nation. Thanks to his carefully crafted propaganda, his triumphs in Italy and Egypt are household stories celebrated in newspapers, plays, and public acclamations. Cries of hurrah for Bonaparte echo through the air as the populace pins its hopes on him. Not everyone shares this enthusiasm. Within the highest echelons of government, there is debate over whether Napoleon should face a court-martial for abandoning his army in Egypt and violating France's quarantine laws. However, a letter from the Directory retroactively summoning him to France complicates matters, and his immense popularity makes any move against him risky. Privately, Napoleon holds the government in disdain. Over breakfast, he tells General Thibault, "These men are dragging France down to their own level of incompetence. They degrade her. What can generals expect from a government of lawyers?" To him, it is self-evident that his own leadership, proven by his victories in Italy and Egypt, is the solution. Since 1795, France has been governed by the Directory, a five-man executive council holding power for 5 years. By 1799, its members include Paul Barras, Napoleon's first patron, a notorious figure of corruption and political cunning; Emmanuel Joseph Sieyès, a former priest and the revolution's leading political thinker; and 3 new appointees: Louis Gohier, a veteran Jacobin; Jean Moulin, a Jacobin general who fought in the Vendée; and Pierre-Roger Ducasse, a more moderate figure allied with Sieyès. Meanwhile, the legislature consists of the Council of 500, which drafts laws, and the Council of Elders, which approves them. Both councils, with their extravagant Roman-inspired costumes, draw constant comparisons to the ancient Republic of Rome. The Directory, however, is widely regarded as corrupt and ineffective, its survival increasingly in doubt. On his return to Paris, Napoleon takes up residence at the Beauharnais family home on Rue de la Victoire, renamed in his honor. The volatile political climate means the coming months will be uncertain and potentially dangerous. One figure he can rely on is his younger brother, Lucien Bonaparte, a deputy for Corsica in the Council of 500 and recently elected as its president, positioning him as a critical ally in the turbulent days ahead. Upon reuniting with his wife, Josephine, tensions from their infidelities quickly dissolve into a passionate reconciliation. Though Napoleon had once considered divorce, he remains deeply in love. From this point on, Josephine proves a loyal partner, using her social connections to bolster his political standing. Paris buzzes with rumors of conspiracies from all sides: ex-Jacobins threatening revolutionary violence, secret royalists seeking to restore the monarchy, and those advocating for a third path. Among these, Napoleon soon meets France's former foreign minister, Maurice de Talleyrand, a shrewd political operator who had resigned months earlier. Having collaborated with Napoleon on the Egyptian campaign, Talleyrand now proposes a bold new plan: the overthrow of the current regime. Napoleon, disgusted with the Directory's ineptitude, eagerly embraces the idea. Talleyrand reveals that Sieyès, the Directory's leading political mind, is already conspiring to dismantle the regime and draft a new constitution. Sieyès envisioned sweeping reforms to replace the chaotic legislature and its weak executive with a more robust government structure. He has garnered support from Roger Ducasse, president of the Council of Elders Louis Nicolas Lemercier, and even Napoleon Bonaparte. The Minister of Police, Joseph Fouché, is aware of their plot but chooses not to intervene, calculating his own interests in the unfolding drama. Sieyès, however, requires a military leader, a sword, as he describes it, to secure the army's loyalty and strike at the critical moment. His first choice, General Joubert, had been killed at Novi, leaving the position vacant. Sieyès' sights now turned to Napoleon. Earlier that year, General Joubert had been killed at the Battle of Novi in northern Italy. General MacDonald was considered as a candidate, but, being a staunch Republican, refused to engage in such political maneuvering. General Moreau, celebrated for his success with the Army of the Rhine, also declined the role. However, in a decision he would later regret, Moreau recommended Bonaparte instead. "There's your man," he said. "He will carry out your coup far better than I could." Sieyès did not personally favor Napoleon, finding his ambition far too transparent. It was Talleyrand who ultimately convinced Sieyès that Napoleon was the sword they needed. On October 23rd, Napoleon and Sieyès met for the first time. They quickly found common ground, agreeing that the Republic was in grave danger from both internal and external enemies, and that the Directory was incapable of addressing the crisis. Within a week, they resolved to launch a coup to overthrow the government. The operation was planned for November 7th, the 16th of Brumaire on the revolutionary calendar, during the month of fog. The conspiracy was fraught with risks, and many plotters took precautions. One carried a briefcase stuffed with cash for a swift escape. Even the Minister of Police, who was privy to the plan, drafted orders for Napoleon's arrest. As a contingency, Napoleon himself slept with 2 loaded pistols at his bedside. A last-minute delay pushed the operation back 48 hours. That evening, Napoleon dined at General Bernadotte's apartment on Rue de Cisalpine, joined by Generals Moreau and Jourdan. While Moreau agreed to support the coup and Jourdan promised neutrality, Bernadotte was outraged, warning Napoleon, "You'll end up under the guillotine." Napoleon's response was calm. "We'll see." November 9th, Paris. Before dawn, Napoleon gathered around 60 officers at his residence and announced his decision to act in defense of the Republic. He secured their loyalty with solemn oaths of allegiance. The key figure to sway was General Lefebvre, commander of the Paris military district. Napoleon, knowing Lefebvre well, presented him with the sword he had carried at the Battle of the Pyramids as a gesture of respect. The gesture worked. "Let's go throw those bloody lawyers in the river," Lefebvre growled. At 7 a.m., the Council of Elders convened at an unscheduled early session in the Tuileries Palace. Sieyès' allies ensured opposition members were absent, allowing the council to swiftly pass 2 critical measures. First, Napoleon was granted immediate command of the Paris military district under the pretense of a supposed Jacobin plot. Second, the legislature was ordered to relocate the following day to the Château de Saint-Cloud, 5 miles outside Paris, ostensibly for its safety. In truth, this move was designed to shield the conspirators from potential interference by the volatile Parisian mob. By 10 a.m., Napoleon arrived at the Tuileries to address the Council of Elders, assuring them of his loyalty and support from trusted generals like Lefebvre and Berthier. "We seek a republic founded on true liberty, civil rights, and national representation," he declared. "We will achieve it, I swear it." Meanwhile, at the Luxembourg Palace, the residence of the 5 directors, Sieyès and Roger Ducasse announced their resignations, urging Barras, Gohier, and Moulin to do the same. Barras retreated to a bath, seemingly awaiting a better offer. That offer came in the form of a substantial bribe from Talleyrand, along with assurances he could retain his estates. Barras accepted and quietly exited the stage, escorted to his country house that evening under military guard. Gohier and Moulin, less cooperative, were placed under house arrest by General Moreau. With 3 directors resigned, the executive branch was rendered constitutionally defunct. The conspirators now held the power vacuum they needed to enact their plans. That evening, as Napoleon rode through the Place de la Concorde, where so many had perished under the guillotine. He turned to his secretary and remarked, "Tomorrow, we will either sleep at the Tuileries or end up here." November 10th, St. Cloud. Rising at 4 a.m., Napoleon rode to the Château de St. Cloud, meeting Murat, newly promoted to general of division. Troops surrounded the chateau under the pretext of protecting the council members, but their imposing presence caused unease among arriving deputies. Delays ensued as makeshift arrangements were made for the chambers, giving deputies ample time to discuss swirling rumors. This time, Jacobin deputies, excluded from the previous day's session, arrived in force, adding tension to the proceedings. By 1 p.m., the councils convened, their sessions marked by uproar and defiance. The conspirators had hoped for swift votes to establish a provisional government, but progress was slow. Impatient, Napoleon entered the Council of Elders at 4 p.m., seeking to rally support. He was met with jeers and interruptions. When one deputy demanded, "What of the Constitution?" Napoleon retorted, "The Constitution? You have already destroyed it." His impassioned and scattered words only fueled suspicion. Accounts suggest he had to be dragged from the chamber, shouting threats at dissenting deputies. Undeterred, Napoleon stormed into the Council of 500, where his brother Lucien, its president, struggled to maintain order. The deputies, still loyal to the Constitution, greeted Napoleon with cries of "Down with the tyrant" and accusations of treason. The situation escalated as deputies jostled and even struck him. Lefebvre and his grenadiers intervened, rescuing Napoleon and dragging him into the courtyard. Shaken but resolute, Napoleon regrouped. As his old comrade, General Augereau, quipped, "You're in deep water now," Napoleon steadied himself, responding, "It was worse at Arcola." Despite their efforts, the coup teeters on the brink of disaster. If the council declares Napoleon an outlaw, it could result in execution by firing squad or a swift trip to the guillotine. Yet the chaotic disorder within the chambers unexpectedly plays to his advantage. As the military commander of Paris, Napoleon learns that Jacobin deputies are detaining his brother Lucien against his will. Grenadiers are dispatched to secure his release. Napoleon then attempts to rally the troops for a decisive intervention. News of his physical mistreatment by the deputies outrages his loyal comrades, who are eager to act. However, the Legislative Guard, comprising 400 soldiers, charged with protecting the council, remains hesitant. In this critical moment, Lucien seizes the initiative. Mounting a horse, he declares to the assembled soldiers, "Citizen soldiers, the great majority of the council is being terrorized at this very moment by a handful of deputies armed with daggers. These brigands are surely in the pay of the English. I declare that these madmen, through their assault on the council's liberty, have made themselves outlaws." To drive his point home, Lucien dramatically draws a sword and points it at Napoleon's chest. "I swear," he announces, "I will stab my own brother to the heart if he ever violates the liberty of the French people." The soldiers, now convinced of the righteousness of their cause, prepare for action. A signal is given. With bayonets fixed, troops storm into the Council of 500, led by General Lefebvre. "Citizens, you are dissolved," he declares before turning to his men and shouting, "Get this rabble out of here." The deputies scatter in disarray. Some accounts describe them leaping from windows, leaving behind robes and hats in the gardens below. Although the conspirators had hoped to avoid using force, the intervention proves indispensable. That evening, a handful of deputies are coerced into forming a rump council of 500. Together with a similarly intimidated council of elders, they approve the conspirators' proposals. The dissolution of the Directory, the adjournment of both councils for 4 months, though they would never reconvene, and the appointment of 3 provisional consuls, borrowing terminology from the Roman Republic. These consuls are Emmanuel Joseph Sieyès, Pierre-Roger Ducasse, and General Napoleon Bonaparte. Just 3 years and 8 months after taking command of the Army of Italy, Napoleon ascends to the pinnacle of political power in France, tasked with drafting a new constitution for the Republic alongside his co-consuls. Napoleon's brilliance, tireless energy, and immense popularity soon overshadow his colleagues. Only one man will emerge to rule France: the first consul, Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon cements his authority with a return to the battlefield. His next campaign will take him back to Italy, the scene of his earliest triumphs, as he sets out to secure his position both at home and abroad. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. If you found this story interesting and meaningful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any exciting content coming up. Leave a comment to share your thoughts. We're eager to hear from you. See you in the upcoming videos with more unique and meaningful stories. Stay with us.